So let's think about what you just saw in that room. As we talked about earlier, there are certain pre-attack flags and indicators that we need to be aware of in law enforcement. First of all, let's talk about physical appearance. What did you see? What stood out to you? A few things potentially that may stand out to you is you had one individual with a kufi hat, a white kufi hat. You may also have seen someone with a scar on their forehead, which could potentially show someone's religiosity. Maybe they're praying a lot during the day and they're making contact with the ground or the floor with their head. That could also be an indicator. Also, we saw two of the individuals with rolled up pants, which falls into the Salafi mindset and protocol. Did you see someone with a beard? Was it cut in a certain way? That could also be something that raises our attention. These physical appearance indicators in and of themselves do not mean that this is a terrorist or a terrorist cell, but we need to now look in totality at everything else. Now let's talk about propaganda. You probably saw some interesting items within the room, maybe even some that contradicted your original beliefs about if someone's radical, would they be involved in certain activity. First of all, you saw some books in there, books by Sayyid Qutb, maybe Ibn Taymiyyah, maybe Hassan al-Banna, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, maybe even these are names that you've never heard of before. But in a practical sense, these can be critical as indicators for radicalization or militancy. So you definitely saw some books there of concern. If you're not aware of those books, maybe take pictures of those, send them to the JTTF or a Fusion Center to get more information as far as discernment. Other things you may have seen in there were alcohol, beer bottles, things like that. Maybe you saw marijuana, maybe you saw drugs, things like that. And you say, how do I reconcile? I'm seeing things that indicate radicalization, but I also see some indicators that someone is involved in things that wouldn't be in line with those that are pious. This is conflicting, right, in our mind in law enforcement. However, if you look at some of the casework, sometimes the more radical somebody is, the more they're involved in those kind of activity. We see, especially in the media, that these individuals appear to be pious and almost perfect on the outside. But my experience in casework is there's a curtain, and behind that curtain are a lot of things. Could be that they're involved in pornography and alcohol and drugs and other activities, even some of them illegal. We need to also understand what's going on behind that curtain, and a lot of that is going to come from interviewing and conducting field interrogations, sometimes on scene. In addition to the propaganda, you may have seen some other suspicious items. Maybe some burner cell phones, laptops, maybe small motors. Did you see anything in the room that could have been potentially used for shrapnel? What about the guns and ammo magazines? Could that be of concern to you as well? What we're seeing here are potential flags and indicators that someone coming over from ISIS may implement into some type of plot. But also we need to think about, do we already have homegrown radicals right here in the U.S.? The research right now is showing that those that want to attack within the homeland were actually born here. Maybe recent converts to Islam that want to carry out action right here. So we need to have our head on the swivel again, thinking through what am I seeing in totality in this room, what am I drawing from these individuals that we are talking to, and overall we've got to develop that overall investigative strategy. Another possible indicator is mentorship or kinship. I know that oftentimes we hear in the media that someone was radicalized strictly by the internet. I think casework would show that there are other factors and other developments in this area. In particular, what we've often seen is that someone is walking someone down this road of radicalization, mentoring them, showing them videos, asking them to come to mosque regularly, teaching into them regularly, and heading them in a particular trajectory as they head towards a potential plot or an attack. All these things should be taken in and looked at and analyzed in totality. What do you have here? Is this a terrorist cell? Is this just a drug trafficking group? What is this? These are the things that we need to look at and try to analyze and determine what do we have overall. Then you have to develop an investigative strategy. So what do you want to do next? We have 3 individuals in the room. We probably want to interview each one of them. As we look at counterterrorism investigations, we're often looking at concentric circles. We can start from the outside and move in. We can start right at the center and move out. There's different strategies to this. If we start from the outside in, That's usually when we're in a fact-finding mission. We're still in the intelligence gathering side. If we start right at the core of it, kind of the jugular, we may not get all the information that we wanted out of the plot, and we may shut down anybody from talking to us. So at this juncture, let's interview Hassan, who was a subject of the search warrant for the drugs.